them I don't know. I will have left them. I'm gonna do my business in a green grass. They are friends today, enemies tomorrow. They are frustrate us. But we can never let them roll us. We can never let them to school us. I say we can never let them roll us. We can never let them to school us again. And the way we never let them roll the trust. We can never let them to change our time and us. We will never let them frustrate us in this world. I'm a kinky reggae man. Reggae, reggae. I'm a kinky reggae man. Reggae. He was singing. I'm a kinky reggae man. Reggae. Let me know. I'm a kinky reggae man. Reggae. Whatever you doing, brother man, you need to keep patience in your pocket. Oh, you got to suffer, before you get whatever you need. I say you're gonna pass many tribulations before you start to live for recognition. And if you pass it all the troubles till the end, you will see your fate or see it too. No matter the time you could be brother man, but judge is never too late to do so. Whatever you're trying to do, you need to understand the credo is a living one. I'm the king, reggae man.
Purchase your track now. Welcome. Purchase your track now and receive an untapped version instantly.
Oh my God, it's now 2:07.
Purchase your track now.
Every nation rises and falls on its level of patriotism. Patriotism is a fulcrum upon which the growth, development, and progress of any nation revolves. A nation that has citizens who are patriotic is like a bunch of broom that cannot be broken. Their doggedness in nation building is uncompromising, and their love for their fatherland is unshakable. A people who are patriotic would not pilfer the nation's resources meant for all. They will not encourage nepotistic and tribalistic tendencies. People who are patriotic don't kill or maim to win elections. Patriotic citizens are like soldiers willing to stake their life in defense of their nation. Patriotic citizens think, dream, sleep, and even wake their nation. How patriotic are you as a Nigerian? I'd like to welcome you to this edition of Voice of Liberation, a special one at that, on Pensioners 106.7 FM, Agbarigo, Onireke, Ibadan. Broadcasting live from the Oyo Pensioners House, fondly called Africa's Model, on this day, November the 30th, 2019. On the program today, we shall be having a special guest. He will stay through the first and second segment. Understandably so, because whenever you have a former minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, there is usually so much to talk about. In the first segment, as usual, we will look at some major issues of national interest. Of course, those that made the round during the week. Then we shall go a bit more personal and assess our guest on the basis of the role he has played in national development. As usual, it promises to be an interesting ride in the next 2 hours. I'd like you to stay tuned as I unveil my guest after this short musical break. We will be right back.
Oh my God, it's Mild Tunes on the
I suffer for slavery. I suffer for slavery days.
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 They took us away from Ethiopia. They took us away from Namibia. They took us away from Liberia. He said they took us away from Nigeria. Oh Lord, I suffer for slavery days.
I suffer for slavery days.
Oh Lord, I suffer for slavery days.
I suffer for slavery days.
They made us to work so hard in plantation. They gave us a heavy mark on our backs. We languages prohibited over there. We say we languages prohibited on there. Oh Lord, I suffer for slavery days.
I suffer for slavery days.
Oh Lord, I suffer for slavery days.
I suffer for slavery days. Purchase your track now. Welcome. Purchase your track now and receive an untapped version instantly.
Oh my God, it's Mild Tunes on the
You're welcome back. The program is still Voice of Liberation on Pensioners 106.7 FM, Agbarigo, Unireke, Ibadan. My name is Pius Nsabe, and the time is exactly 10:15 a.m. on our dial this morning. My guest today is a son of Oyo State. He is from the Okiogun region of the state, a long-standing politician who was the youngest member of the Oyo Assembly in the late 70s at the age of 26. Until May 2019, he was the Minister of Communications of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Now you already know who I'm talking about. Dr. Abdurrashid Adebayo. Abdurrahim. Thank you. Adebayo Shitu, who hails from Shaki in Oyo State. Honorable Minister, you're welcome to the program.
My pleasure to be here.
Nice having you around. Now, normally what we do is that when we have our guests in the house, the first thing we like them to do is to give us an impression of our radio station. You know, being a new one, we like to know, we like to get feedback from our guests. And I think we have to start on that note with you.
Thank you so much. Number one, I never knew this station existed, perhaps because I have not for the better part of the last 4 years, been living permanently in Ibadan.
Okay.
But coming here today, I am surprised, and I sincerely commend the Pensioners Association in Oyo State that they have been able to put this gargantuan and magnificent structure in place. I am equally surprised, pleasantly surprised, that they also thought of, investing in the media in Oyo State. Coming to this station, I see that so many of the old stations don't have the quality of broadcast equipment that you have here. I'm really very impressed, and I find that the environment is a very pleasant one. I commend the Pensioners Association, and I commend all of you who have had the good fortune to work here. It is my prayer, and the challenge I'm giving you is to ensure that within the shortest possible time, you become the #1 station of choice in Oyo State. I commend all of you.
Thank you very much for the commendations. And so we have to kick on earnest with the program. We have to kick on in earnest with the program this morning. And we are going to, first of all, start, like I told you in my intro, that we are going to, first of all, look at some issues of national interest. I don't want to say national concern now, because some of them may actually be positive issues. So after that, we will gradually take it down to your person and, of course, the role that you have played in the development of the country. So let us begin with the issue of the hate speech bill proposed by the Senate in particular. What's your position on that bill? Because we've got different reactions from different Nigerians.
Thank you so much. Nigeria is a very complex country. And in Nigeria, for public personalities like me, in making public discussions, in making public comments, one has to decide whether you want to talk as a politician,
yes,
or whether you want to talk as a statesman. More often than not, the public wants to hear you speak as a politician. But I think
here on Voice of Liberation, we prefer you talk as a Nigerian.
I have gone beyond, trying to satisfy political interests.
That's interesting.
I want to be seen and to be known as somebody who would always hit the nail on the head, who would speak the truth, whatever the consequences, and who would want to guide members of the public to what is good for Nigeria.
Okay.
The issue of hate speech and fake news. The Yorubas have this adage, if you have been a victim of hate speech, and if you have been a victim of fake news, you know that it is a very, very poisonous and very disastrous, issue, which necessarily and effectively affects social harmony, social order, and so on in any society. If you look at several countries throughout the world in history who have had civil wars, these civil wars were caused by hate speeches and fake news and all of that. So there's no freedom is absolute in any society. So to that extent, I believe that if we look at it, deeply, there's need to control the way people run their mouths to run down other people without justification. Only this morning, as I was coming here, I was a victim of his speech. I was a victim of all kinds of malfeasance by people I don't even know. You can imagine somebody, calling me, and I said, let me know your name and so on, and he starts cursing me, he starts saying all sorts of things. So there's need for us to control, and that's why we have a National Assembly. We all contributed representatives to the National Assembly to look after our interests, to ensure that society is run on the premises of law and order.
All right.
So I want to believe that we must, like we control everything. If you are driving, there must be control. You cannot, within the highway, within cities, you cannot drive, over 100 kilometers per hour, and so on and so forth. So there must be regulation to whatever people, do.
So in other words, you are throwing your weight behind the hate speech bill.
In principle, I am. In principle.
Okay.
But, one thing is that we must have, regulations as to how the mass media and the social media have been run and administered.
Okay.
The other thing is what is consequence of every action in that regard.
Okay.
Because I'm told that it's been suggested that anybody who gets involved in what amounts to hate speech should face the bullet. I would certainly not subscribe to that.
That
would certainly
actually
be
leads to the death of some people.
It would be
Because that was going to be my next line of question, as even the man himself who proposed this bill has backtracked a bit by saying that some amendments will be made to remove that part that said
even if he didn't say that, it is for the National Assembly as a body to decide on what is the appropriate punishment for every type of hate speech, every type of fake news.
But you said that, and it's a fact we all know, that they are there representing the interest of the people. And at least as a journalist, I know that, I don't want to say majority of Nigerians now, but I know that most Nigerians are actually not in support of this so-called hate speech bill. Because some people think that the government in power wants to use it against its supposed political rivals. That's the feeling that some people have. And then that is the one leg of the question. The other leg is that these legislators are the representatives of the people. How come that when they want to take a very, very sensitive decision as this, they don't consult the people first before going ahead?
They will consult. That the process of consultation is through public hearing. I mean, it will come to that.
Okay.
There would necessarily be a public hearing. People will have to come. But let me say this. More often than not, criminals make the loudest of noise. People who engage in hate speech will make so much propaganda to blindfold.
But some of the people I know talking about this thing, talking against these things, are not necessarily criminals.
No.
They are everyday Nigerians.
You may not be a criminal, but you may be criminally minded. I mean, for instance, if you are involved in something that is not socially, if you are not at the receiving end, you probably would not see anything which is bad about it. But you have a situation where the silent majority of Nigerians are really shut out from public discourse. Those who have access to the social media are the ones, many of them are the ones abusing it. And if there's a threat to that, certainly they'll make the loudest noise in defense of it. And if I won't engage in hate speech, why must I be afraid? Now, this issue of saying, that perhaps government wants to use it, against its enemies. The Yorubas have this adage, we have a judiciary. The executive does not consider the judiciary. If anybody is alleged to have committed an offense under the bill when it becomes law, it will still have to go to the judiciary for interpretation and assessment of the actions which are said to be hate speech and the consequence of it, and then before the court says perhaps you are guilty or you are not guilty. So Nigeria has not yet gotten to a state of banana republic where the executive will do whatever it wants with the masses of the people. We are, for instance, we've been living in your state over the last 8-9 years, and we have had a very viral opposition, even within APC when it was in power. Many of us who were supposed to be in the opposition to the government of Ajimobi still held our eyes, and we kept talking against.
A lot of people also think that politicians are mainly the architects of this hate speech in the country, going by the things that happen in our elections.
Well, you see, election
the pre, during, and post-election.
Well, if you are saying,
activities.
if you mention that it is politician, then you have to define what type of politician. A political thug, is he a politician? Would you define him in the context of being a politician?
Well, who arms a political thug?
Well, the thug who allows himself to be armed, is he a politician? So, the definition of a politician could become, so elastic that almost everybody, the man who goes to vote on the day of election, is he a politician? The man who is so desperate that his, chosen person, should win an election and does everything, including helping to distribute money to buy votes. It's not the candidates who really distribute the money. They have agents, they have people who take on the job, and so on. So virtually every Nigerian is a politician.
What then are you trying to advise Nigerians?
What I'm saying is Nigerians should have confidence and trust in the people we put in power, because all of us cannot be in the legislature at the same time.
But Honorable Minister, let me still ask you a question in respect of this before we move to the next issue. A lot of Nigerians, particularly lawyers, incidentally, you are a lawyer, have said that there are provisions in our present laws, our present constitution, that take care of this issue of hate speech and social media regulation, that you have the right to sue somebody
look
for defamation and all those kind of things that you talked about. So why do we need to?
We have so many laws on virtually everything. If you have a law and it is not effective, for instance, now there are laws against stealing, and yet a lot of people are now saying, look, there must be special laws to take care of corruption cases. It's not as if you steal government money, there's no. But is it effective? How effective is it? I mean, we have so many politicians who have stolen Nigeria blind, and they are still walking the street. You can imagine a corruption case spending 10, 11 years in court. So it becomes necessary in order. It is often said that desperate diseases are by desperate means.
So do we phase out those other laws and replace them with these ones?
You don't have to phase. One way is to amend. But like I said, in the case of corruption cases that everybody, courts that people are now agitating for, let us have it as a supplement to whatever existing law.
But I think the issue is not really about the laws. It's about how these laws are implemented.
Well,
why shouldn't we be looking in that direction?
It will be part of it. If there is a new law to attend to a desperate situation, then that new law would take, most importantly, take care
Let me know
of how to get the problem solved more effectively than previous laws.
It's your opinion, Honorable Minister, and I wouldn't want to push it so hard on you. But let's talk about the next issue, which actually also has been bothering a lot of Nigerians. How that we understand that President Muhammadu Buhari awaits investigation into the killing of a PDP woman leader in Kogi State. But what is worrisome here is that the president had to wait for about 6 days before he released a statement through his media aides condemning that act in Kogi State. But just hours after that election, after Yahaya Bello was declared governor, the same president issued a statement congratulating him. Which one comes first? Is it the election victory or somebody's life? Which one comes first? That is one. And then secondly, even the security operatives, the police in particular now, had to even wait until President Buhari gave an order that those people be fished out. And a day after the president did that, about 6 or 5 persons were arrested in connection with that crime. What kind of a society are we in?
Let me say that as a human being and as a very dispassionate Nigerian, I felt so sad that killing took place. Not only that killing, that's just one of the several killings which took place in Kogi, and for whatever reason, there's nothing to justify it. So that is one. Number two, it is often said that it is better late than never. You see, it was not the president's responsibility to have to order the police to fish them.
Yes, that's why we are surprised. The police didn't have to wait for him.
But unfortunately, the police had to wait. That is worrisome. That cannot be the fault of Mr. President. Perhaps it was because the police refused to do what they ought to have done in good time that the president had to now, come up with a statement. But I'm happy that at the end of the day, Mr. President gave an order which had to be complied with, and now the suspected killers are in police night. So I think we should still thank God that at least, even though it was somehow late, but the president took action because the police refused to do what they ought to have done early enough, And now something has been done which is soothing to the nerves of all Nigerians.
But at least, even before giving that order, one would have expected that immediately that unfortunate incident was occurred. The president should have released a statement immediately to condemn it.
You are talking of a president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Yes.
You are talking of a president who has so many issues on
but he has his
all over.
aides.
I am coming all over Nigeria. He in fact does not have to even tell his media aides what to do. I mean that is one point that we should, take note of. So many things went wrong in that election, and I'm convinced that so many things went wrong. I'm not satisfied, in the conduct of that particular election. I'm not satisfied with the way politicians behaved as if we were, in an animal farm where might was right. I'm not happy that so much violence were visited on innocent people, and I saw it on television that so many people were scared away from polling. I'm not happy about all of these things. But the point that we must accept is that Mr. President cannot be everywhere at all times, and people who have constitutional responsibilities to do things right must be called to order when they refuse to do it, and that was precisely what the president did.
All right, we have to move on. It's still Voice of Liberation on Pensioners, 106.7 FM, Agbarigo, Onireke, Ibadan. And I have with me in the studio this morning Dr. Adebayo Shitu, who is the immediate past Minister of Communications of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And my name is Pius Nsabe. We have been talking burning issues of national concern. And of course, he is acting a dual role this morning. First, as my analyst, and of course, as my guest when we get to the interview session. Now, Honorable Minister, let's also look at this issue of Meena, Abdul Rashid Meena. He came to the court sick, but
you had to come to court sick.
He
came to the court hale and hearty, and he ended up being sick.
Okay,
you saw that the Nigerian factor.
So, I mean, eventually, medical report from the Nigeria's correctional service said he was fit to undergo trial. I mean, you summed it all.
I have not even.
Yes. And
so
report came out and he was actually fit.
He was given bail.
Yeah, he was given bail.
Okay, but that he was.
Yes, to undergo the trial. So, what's your take on that?
Well, that will not be the first time we'll have that type of scenario. You remember that Dasuki had a similar scenario with Dasuki. Okay. We had a similar scenario with
Olisametu,
and so on. I mean, those are part of the Nigerian, factor where people who have been cornered by evidences of criminality, in order to avoid prosecution, in order to prevent facing the law, they engage in all kinds of stratagem, thinking that will save them from the gulag. But I'm happy that at the end of the day, the law remains very effective in holding them to the charges against them. So it's surprising, but I think I'm happy.
But this can only happen in Nigeria. It doesn't happen elsewhere.
That's why Nigeria is not any other country.
Nigeria is a project.
That's why Nigeria is Nigeria.
All right, you can call in on the program this morning. The lines to dial are 0908 1111 067, 0908 1111 067. You can also call 0808 0101 067, 0808 0101 067. You can join us live on Facebook. You want to see the Honorable Former Minister here on Pensioners FM 106.7. Just like our page, and you will see us streaming live. Okay? So if you have any conversation to make on the program today, you have a question, you want to make a contribution, please do dial those numbers I just gave to you and be part of the program this morning. As we move on this morning, let's talk about the Zamfara issue. It's one issue that everybody has applauded, where the Zamfara Assembly abolished law allowing payment of pension, allowances to former governors, speakers, their deputies, and all that. A lot of people have hailed Zamfara Assembly and, of course, the governor of that state for coming up with this selfless, maybe for once, Honorable Minister, we are seeing selfless Nigerians. What's your take about that?
I join other Nigerians in commending the initiative of the current governor of Zamfara State and his, House of Assembly. In other states, we have, a collaboration between the executive and the legislature doing the wrong thing. To have that type of law in the first case is an indictment on the whole system of governance in Nigeria. And it is not in Zamfara alone. It is only that because of the change in government at the party level in Zamfara, we have that exposure. I'm sure similar thing exists in all other states. So I think for you journalists, the searchlight must be on what is the situation in other states. I know that in Kwara State, during Saraki's time, hundreds of millions, went into building, structures for him in Abuja and, large chunks of money.
Yes,
I think the same state,
in Edo State,
we are in Oyo State. We should also, find out what is the situation.
I was going to ask you.
Well, I don't know.
I wanted to be a governor in Oyo State.
Well, I of course, I would have corrected all of that. And it was the fear of somebody coming to correct it. That was why I was frustrated from becoming governor.
We are coming to that. We'll keep that until when we get to that personal part I talked about. Now, apart from the Facebook platform, you can also listen to us via our website, pensioners1067.com. Pensioners1067.com. You can go there and, of course, you view us or listen to us live. It's still Voice of Liberation on Pensioners 106.7. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. You're welcome.
You know me, I know you. I am John Njoko.
John Njoku, how are you?
Thank you, sir. I've been listening to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm a public commentator here.
Thank you. Thank you. You're welcome.
I want to talk about hate speech.
Yes.
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 I am not against whatever hate speech, but my view is that I am against the death penalty. Someone is
Thank you.
to.
I oppose it.
I am equally that we already have several laws in our statute books
Agreed.
under which anyone who abuses free speech engages in conduct amounting to harassment of other citizens on the basis of religion affiliation can be brought to justice. For the nation media and journalists, the laws against defamation are already there for determined in the act, setting up the Nigeria Press Council, Advertising Practitioners General of Nigeria, Nigerian Broadcasting Commission, and the National Board that protect individuals and groups against speeches or acting capable of inciting ethnic or religious hatred, or that. Then my question, in one of the newspapers I read, you said you were surprised President Buhari did not appoint you for second time. What informed that your decision, sir?
I think, my brother, I think that is already stale news.
Definitely, we will get to all that. I just want to plead with Mr. John Joku to just hold on, keep following us. Okay. Those are some of the questions we are definitely going to ask the Honorable Minister when we get to that part of the program. But for now, let's focus on the issues in the country. And straight away, we move to the issue of the Integrated Payroll and Personal Information System, IPPIS, which has been a source of controversy between the Academic Staff Union of Government, Academic Staff Union of Universities and the federal government. Why doesn't ASU want to be enrolled in this system?
Well, that question should be addressed. I think you should invite ASU.
I actually tried to.
Let some of us come and invite us to confront them.
I've been trying to do that with the ASU head here.
It is the height of corruption that people who take money from government, they take subvention from government, and they don't want a control as to how they spend their money. I mean, it's so funny.
But they are saying it negates the autonomy.
Why don't they source for their own funding themselves? Why don't they say because we're independent, we don't want government money? I mean, it's criminal. And I am happy that in various university campuses now, some factions have emerged to say that we don't support what ASU is doing because ASU has been corrupt in the management of resources, and that we want to support IPPS. That is happening already. And those factions are now already asking for recognition of their own groupings too. So, I mean, if in the name of transparency, if you want to talk of independence, that you are independent, please don't take government money.
Generate your own money.
You should generate your money. In any case, you are not the owner of the institution. You are employees of the institution. You must abide by the laws and regulations of the owners of that institution. If I set up a university and somebody comes in and say because of freedom, academic freedom, I should not control how much he takes. I should not control how much university's money is spent. I should not control how many students have been, admitted, or the processes of graduation. Then, I mean, you go and set up your own university so that you can run it the way you like.
Are we likely going to see another showdown between ASU and the federal government?
I believe ASU is just, you see, that's my prayer. Nobody should be allowed to take Nigeria to a standstill this time around. I know that in most of these universities, if ASU tries it, there will be so much fracas because they will be opposed by some of their own members. I have already seen a lot about what is going on in many of these universities, and I am happy that a lot of conscionable academics within universities are not agreeing with the management of ASU.
We already have what looks like a divided house.
Yes,
for example, the other faction now, the Congress of University Academics, has urged its members to go ahead and enroll.
And get registered.
Why the mother body has insisted that its members are not going to do that.
I mean, once of course, there must also be freedom of association. The fact that I belong to ASU does not mean that I shouldn't have a right not to belong to ASU or not to form my own organization. So I think that would teach ASU a lesson of their lives, to know that they cannot turn ASU into a pot of honey, to mismanage the resources that belong to all academics within the university system.
It's all right. It's still Voice of Liberation on Pensioners 106.7 FM. My name is Pius Nsabe, and I am talking with Dr. Adebayo Shitu, the immediate past Minister of Communications of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. 0908-1111-067, 0908-1111-067, 0808-0101-067, 0808-0101-067. You can also like us on our Facebook page, Pensioners FM 106.7. We are also streaming live on our website, pensioners1067.com. From wherever you are around the world, you can hook up to Pensioners FM. All right, now let us look at another issue. Just yesterday, a South African court found a South African police constable guilty of the killing of a Nigerian in 2018. I think they called him Chinedu Okoli or so. Now, you have been following events between Nigeria and South Africa and the handling of, the diplomatic relations between these two countries that was almost strained by the issue of xenophobic attacks in that country. A lot of Nigerians are not satisfied with the way the federal government has handled that matter. Incidentally, you were part of the Federal Executive Council now. During your meetings, I'm sure that you must have had some closed-door sessions amongst yourselves. What are the things that come to your mind when you hear Nigerians are being killed on a daily basis and they look up to the government, they don't see help coming?
Let me start by saying that the events of the killings had not started when we were in government. If you recall, I left government 6 months ago.
Yes.
The issue of xenophobic attacks are a recent debate.
No, they had always been there, Honorable Minister.
Well,
albeit maybe sporadic
maybe they had
pockets of them here and there.
Maybe they had
yes.
You see, the Yorubas in their wisdom, they have this adage. Ori bibe Akoni Ogun Orififo. Nigerians are being killed not only in South Africa, in Saudi Arabia, in Malaysia, in Singapore. Nigerians have been killed, on basis of, a whole lot of other things. When such things happen and you then immediately strain your relationship with such a country, you have closed the door against yourself. You have closed the door to have a platform to argue a case for the interest of Nigeria. Because at the formal level, Nigeria has diplomatic relations, which also encompasses trade relationships, it encompasses educational relationships, it encompasses intercultural relations, and a whole lot of other things. So when such things happen, you must leave room for engagement. Look, you know that we had the First World War, you had the Second World War. After all the bloodshed, they still have to come to the round table to discuss and negotiate for peace. So I think the attitude of the Nigerian government is that of maturity, not to be, not to be forced into taking unilateral action which one would regret. So, and I'm happy that consequent after those killings, the Nigerian president was invited to South Africa, and they, came up with a whole source of other.
And this just 3 weeks after he left, we still had attacks.
Yeah, that attacks are usually committed by criminals, not by the government. And the criminals will not give notice. And you know that even in Nigeria here, we do have, situations where, citizens, some criminally minded citizens engage in actions.
But why are Nigerians the center of those attacks? I mean, majorly Nigerians in South Africa.
I don't want to stand in for, as a defense for the South Africans. I've never really, I've just, stayed in South Africa in transit to another country. I don't know much about South Africa. But when the events were unfolding, we had Nigerians themselves who came and gave all sorts of stories about the dealings in criminality by certain Nigerians who were couriers of hard drugs, who were traders in hard drugs. We were told by Nigerians that there were certain communities in South Africa where in South African police dare not come to. This is a sovereign country. This is not Nigerian land.
Are Nigerians criminal? Are we criminals?
I'm not a criminal.
So how come the Nigerians who go to other countries become criminals? How do they become criminals?
But you know that even in Nigeria we have so many prisons, about 37 prisons. It is criminals who are there in those prisons.
Is it because we build more prisons and infrastructure?
It is.
Are these the reason for our problems?
I love Yoruba, idioms and sayings. The Yoruba say, tí a bá ti wọ́n ní kékeré láti pé ìtàn ìrókò tó bá dàgbà tán apá ò ní ká. If you don't cut a yard or a garden at its commencement consistently, it will become a bush, it will become a forest. The way we train our children in many homes in Nigeria, maybe as a result of poverty, maybe as a result of ignorance, maybe as a result of geographical location and so on, leaves a lot more to be desired. And that's why you have, criminals everywhere in our society, not only in Nigeria anyway.
Okay.
Because even in New York, every minute a murder is being committed in the US.
Sure.
So it's not about Nigeria alone, but it's about human society. You have some who are good, you have some who, due to circumstances, perhaps beyond their control, they become criminals. So it's not a Nigerian phenomenon alone, but the truth is we have a lot of Nigerians who deal in drugs in South Africa.
Okay.
And some people in South Africa believe these Nigerians are corrupting.
But let's also look at, as we round off in this segment of the program, let's also look at it this way. Now, when these so-called criminal Nigerians commit their criminal activities, the aftermath is that the innocent, hardworking Nigerians who are in those countries also bear the brunt for that crime. Are you satisfied with the move by the federal government? Are you satisfied with the effort the government has so far made in a bid to stem that
Well,
disturbing trend?
I am happy that.
Or what can you suggest?
No, I honestly am not an expert in diplomatic relationships. I don't know what Nigeria is supposed to do or not to do. What I do know is that the Nigerian government made statements. Particularly, you recall that Abike Dabiri, who is the chairman of the Diaspora Nigerian Commission, was always on top of her voice to draw attention, and to condemn, what was happening. I mean, he was speaking on behalf of the federal government, so we must give the federal government the credit for rising to the occasion. I must also use this opportunity to commend Mr. Onyema of Air Peace, who made a lot of sacrifices in releasing some of his aircrafts, to, repatriate Nigerians from that country. So these are steps. I know that if he did,
by the way, is going through a lot at the moment.
Well, that's
and a lot of people have said that.
That's another
they'll be tied to that.
Unfortunately,
I don't want to destroy his image.
No, I don't know. We don't have all the facts, so we must be careful.
Lastly, on this, just yesterday, the Supreme Court dethroned the Eleruwa of Erua, Oba Samuel Adegola. Incidentally, you are a son of your state, and I'm sure you have your take.
I'm not only a son of your state. I was also a counsel in that case. At a point along the line, I was counsel for the appellants. I mean, for the respondent. Who was the applicant at the lower court? I mean, the man who won the case now was my, client. So I'm happy that at the end of the day, justice has been done consistently at the High Court level, at the Court of Appeal level, and the Supreme Court. My client has always been winning, and unfortunately, the cause of the crisis is not something that, if I relate what happened really, why the then kingmakers had to take the wrongful decision of nominating somebody who is not entitled by birth to become Ilerua. You will be surprised, and I'm sure it will create more problems for us in Oyo State. So
let's let the sloppy dog lie.
At least justice has to have been done.
It's all right. This is how much we can take in the fourth segment of the program, Voice of Liberation, this morning. We will definitely be back for the second segment after this short musical break. Please stay tuned.
Let's to Nigeria, my country, to be faithful, loyal and honest, to serve Nigeria with all my strength, defending unity and uphold our honor, and glory so every child. Shala, yes. Shala, yes. Shala, yes. Yes, I mean everything you say. And I want you to be honest too. United stand to salvage the nation. Each and every day things are getting worse. They turn around and want a passion every day. But how many rivers do we have to cross just to reach that place we are going? Today we rise and tomorrow we fall. When the nation is free and the people are crying from 60s to 80s, too much Muslims and prisons. It's a road to the wall. It's what you feel down. Once we were great, so great and mighty, but the back was the broadcast law. The makers, the beggars, the silent passion. Just see them come the prophets of you. In a dark situation, got to cool down this face. Tell the children the truth. So much lies in stagnation. Choose the light of creation. Oh yeah. Good creation, no one in and out.
Purchase your track now and receive the uncut version.
Welcome back. It's Voice of Liberation on Pensioners 106.7 FM. And it's 10:57 a.m. here on Pensioners 106.7 FM, Agbarigo, Onireke, Ibadan. Broadcasting live from Pensioners House, fondly called Africa's Model. My name is Pius, Nsabe, and I have with me in the studio this morning the immediate past Minister of Communications, Dr. Adebayo Shitu, who is from Shaki here in Oyo State. In the first segment of the program, we looked at a number of issues of national interest that made the round in the course of the week. And together, we were able to trash them down, and I'm sure you must have been following us and getting his take on some of those issues. We are going down to the second segment of the program, where, like I told you, we are going to be a bit more personal now. It's going to be more about him and, of course, the role that he has played in national development. So without much ado, Honorable Minister, let's start from where Mr. John Joku's curiosity. Of course, like you said, it's still news, and you expressed surprise that you were not, but every day you appear on the program, it's a different kettle of fish altogether. So I'm sure that there are some Nigerians who probably have not read that still news. And for us journalists, what you have not read or heard is still news to you. So why were you surprised? That
Well, I was surprised.
Do you think that
number one, I am satisfied and fulfilled, and I did the very best in performance as minister. Secondly, I was also very close to Mr. President, having been his eye and ear in Oyo State.
Okay.
Number three, I was the first cabinet minister to start his second term campaign agitation, even in the Federal Executive Council. And I also opened an office, a campaign office here in Mokola for him. And there was no
we saw
minister,
that glass?
Exactly. There was no minister who had done in terms of public advocacy in the press as much as I did. Okay. And I know that there was no negative report about me with regard to corruption or whatever.
So I don't know if you had a personal issue with the president.
No.
So why would he then choose to drop you?
Well, in Nigeria, some of the things that happen are interesting. Number one, I had a governor in the state who had all the money. Number he detested the possibility of my taking over from him as governor because
could the governor buy a president to his side?
Well, it's not enough. It's not, you don't even have to buy a president. Once you buy people around him, if you succeed in buying people around him, I mean, he's as good as getting your results for whatever you like.
Honorable Minister, is it really true? Is it really true? Before you continue, that the governor has a very strong say as to who becomes minister from his state?
He didn't have directly. He didn't have.
Okay.
But he could. For instance, months to the time the new ministers were to be, appointed or named, there were all sorts of, press attacks against me, which certainly were coming from the quarter, very baseless, in very powerful media, organizations. I mean, they were, and interestingly,
what did you do to them?
Well, that's the question that anybody would ask. That's the question.
But is that enough for you not to have been considered by Mr. President?
I mean, you would direct that question to Mr. President, not me, because he took the decision, not me taking the decision.
Or he was perhaps not satisfied with your performance?
I am sure he was satisfied. There was no query against me. There was no petition against me in regard to my job.
Did he have to do the MTN saga?
No, I didn't even have a role to play in the MTN saga. If it was MTN, it was Mr. President who took the decision.
You've always said that.
I mean, I didn't have a role. The file did not even get to me anyway. So the question of me taking a positive or negative will never happen. And I'm saying this.
Is it that Nigerians were misinformed or misunderstood the entire situation?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've always said this, and nobody has come to challenge me anyway over the last almost 4 years. Nobody has come. I've always said the file did not even get to me. It didn't have to get to me. It was an NCC issue, as is one of the agencies.
Yes,
and
the
thing went directly because it involves income for Nigeria. I mean, that was not part of my responsibility as Minister.
Well, it was under your ministry as
I am telling you, unless you have any other information other than what I'm telling you, it didn't have to get to me, but because it was about income for Nigeria. The NCC fined them in accordance with existing law, and they appealed to the president. Do I ask Mr. President to take my advice before he takes a decision? I mean, it didn't happen. But Nigerians, particularly for political reasons, choose to believe what they want to believe. So I'm saying it again for the umpteenth time. I didn't have a role to play, and no comment came to me on the.
Did you feel bad that the president did not
renominate you? I wouldn't have felt bad that the president
did not renominate you as minister.
Well, you see, I'm a constitutional lawyer, and I know that the discretion is that of the president. He had a discretion as to who to appoint, who not to appoint. In 2015, when he appointed me, I didn't have to lobby him before he appointed me. He looked at my antecedents politically, and experientially, and all of that, and he took the decision. So if in 2019 he decided to do otherwise, I'm not to pay him. But what I said, which a lot of people make a lot of noise about, is that I was shocked. Being shocked is part of human nature. I mean, if you express something and it didn't come, of course you will be shocked. But I added, again, as a Muslim, I very quickly started thanking God, because being minister for 3.5 years is not the same as never having been minister. I mean, for life, I will remain a former minister. I mean, that makes a lot of difference, because for the 3.5 years, the experience, the exposure, the contacts I have made, the knowledge that I've acquired,
and the money you have made too.
Well, I earned an income over the period. I earned an income,
genuine income,
legitimate. I can beat my chest anywhere.
Okay. You are not one of those Nigerians who diverted public funds.
I am challenging everybody again that I try to live a life replica of Mr. President, in life of incorruptibility. And I'm happy, I'm fulfilled. I don't have money now, but I'm a fulfilled and happy person because I appreciate what God has done for me. The Yorubas have this adage again. Being Yoruba Monuro. So I thank God.
Okay. Are you still a politician?
Of course, I will remain a politician for the rest of my life.
Which party do you
belong to? I've been in politics for 40 years. I'm a foundation member of APC. So long as the Buhari remains in APC, I will be in APC. If tomorrow things change, we'll all take a decision as to what will be the next line. But for now, I'm still in APC.
Well, you felt you were not satisfied with the way things turned out when you wanted to be a governor.
Legitimately, I could not have been a happy person. I could not have been satisfied because of the mischief of our then governor in Oyo State, who felt that he could not afford to have a Buhari as president and have another Buhari as his successor. He said, if Shitu becomes my successor, I will go to jail. He knew what
Why did he see you as a threat?
I think you should invite him one day and ask him.
Honorable Minister or former minister now. Once a minister, always a minister.
Thank God.
Anyway.
Thank God for that.
Do you still want to become governor of your state?
Honestly, I don't have an ambition now. Let me say this, and I'll be very true. I wanted to be minister to governor, to correct certain acts of misgovernance in Oyo State. Unfortunately, God used Ajimobi to truncate my ambition. But the things I wanted to do, I am happy that another progressive-minded person who is governor now is doing exactly those things I would have loved to do.
Progressive minded in an
Yeah.
umbrella.
Well,
we are
you
going
see-
to talk about his
Okay.
achievements.
Okay.
Definitely.
Thank
And we
you.
can't live here. We don't talk about
Thank
Governor
you.
Makin's achievement. But what I want to, the next line of question I want to ask you, though you say you don't have an ambition now, maybe tomorrow you would have one if you want to become a governor.
I could also even.
Are
want to
you
be
willing to go
president.
back to the NYSC to serve?
You see, the
Do the
NYC matter.
1 year mandatory service.
The NYC matter is before the Federal High Court in Oyo State,
Yes.
whether I should be or not. So until that case is disposed of, I will not answer that question.
Should it go against you? Would you
I
go
will
and do the
appeal.
1 year mandatory service?
There's no big deal in it.
Okay.
But I am saying that instead of doing 1 year mandatory service,
Yes.
I've done 4 years in the House of Assembly. 4 years serving this state.
But the law did not say that. Did the
No.
law give a provision for that? That if
Let-
you have
let me
done
tell-
4 years, you
let-
shouldn't go for
let me
NYSC.
tell you. I joined the House of Assembly at 26.
Yes.
By age 30, I'm not supposed to be going for national service again. By the time I finished in the House of Assembly, I was already above 30.
But is that
Because
what the
immediately-
Constitution says?
No,
Is it?
at the time the Constitution was being put together, the 1979 Constitution,
Yes.
or at the time the NYC law was being put together, there was no 1979 Constitution. When the 1979 Constitution was being put together, they did not take cognizance of the NYC, that where there's conflict, as to somebody who is due for national service and who also got elected, what should be done. So the the Federal High Court will take a decision as to what the guidance will be. And until that,
A lot of Nigerians would have loved to see you in that. They felt that you should have just gone ahead to do it instead of going to court.
well, let me tell you.
I would have loved
the
to see
option-
that apparel.
No, there's no big deal. I mean, if I choose tomorrow to do it, I will do it. Nothing will happen. But what I'm saying is, we want to be guided by the law.
Okay.
Let me tell you. You see, this issue came, the Oshomode of a man, a comedian in the garb of the national chairman of a party, said he was disqualifying me on the basis of not having served NYC. In the same vein, he gave senatorial ticket to Abiola Ajimobi, who also did not serve. He gave ticket to Abiodun of Ogun State, the Ogun State of Abiodun, who also did not serve. Why the double standard? Why give those other two people?
Did they use their university certificates?
It
or their
doesn't,
tertiary
it doesn't
institution
matter. The
certificates?
issue was there. It was germane.
Because if they use their O level, probably their certificate, they didn't have to show all that.
My fault will be the fact that I was more honest than them in stating what exactly I am.
Okay. We have to move on, but let our listener know that they can join the conversation this morning by calling 0908 1111 067. 0908 1111 067. You can also call 0808 0101 067. 0808 0101 067. You can like our page on Facebook, Pensioners FM 106.7, to follow us live. Like our page, Pensioners FM 106.7, to follow us live on Facebook. We are also streaming on our website, pensioners1067.com. You have a question for the minister, you have a contribution to make. Okay, we lost that call. Please do keep trying and speak with the honorable former minister. All right. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Your name is what? Yeah. Please, maybe you should shift a bit and take a better position where you are. Shift a bit from where you are. Your line seems to be breaking. Okay. I want to commend the minister. Okay. Oh my God, this line is.
We are not hearing you, unfortunately.
Maybe you should call us back. Just try to redial the line, please. Thank you so much for your understanding. Now, even as we move on in the program, let's talk about the man that eventually replaced you at the Federal Executive Council, your brother,
My
Sunday,
junior, my Aburo, very good Aburo.
Sunday Dare.
Yes.
How did you feel when he was eventually named as your replacement? Hello, good morning.
I'm Kule.
Okay,
Good.
okay.
Yeah, are you hearing me now?
Loud
Yes,
and clear.
Yeah, I want to.
Okay.
Because I think that other people are lying about their NYC.
Okay.
This person can share the truth about it. It's only necessary. Or let me say that it's the kind of people that want to listen. And also, we need to say about this it's doing something that is
Okay. All right. Sorry about that. You may still need to follow. Yeah, I think I heard a number of things he said that you should be commended for at least saying the truth. Why should you crucify somebody who was trying to say the truth? But if we had to go by that, which one comes first? Is it the law or the truth? Because this is what the law says, and this is what the truth is. Yes, a lot of Nigerians appreciate you for integrity, because that is what it was all about. But the truth also is that if you are using your higher degrees, you must show evidence that you served in the NYSC. But let's hope and let's wait and see what
it was not even
because
a constitutional requirement. The Constitution did not require you to contest any election to have served NYC.
Okay.
I mean, it's so clear, and it's just mischief.
Okay.
It's
Now it seems you didn't need it to become a minister.
I don't need it. I didn't
because we were wondering how you became a minister.
I was a member of the House of Assembly in 1979. The person I defeated, who was in NPN then, took me to court to challenge me on the basis that I didn't serve, and the court threw out his case to say that the Constitution did not require NYC to become an elected member. So whether as a member of the House of Assembly or as commissioner twice or as minister, I didn't need it.
Okay. Now let's talk about the Honorable Minister of Youth and Sports Development in the country. Or were you expecting him to be given your portfolio of Minister of Communication? Because some of us thought, given his profile, he was going to replace you directly.
Well, it's part of Mr. President's discretion to deploy. He can deploy you to Ministry A today. Tomorrow, he can shift you to any other ministry. What is important is that you are a minister of the Federal Republic, and any minister can be deployed to any ministry whatsoever.
But given his profile, are you satisfied with where he is today?
What is important, I have said it. I mean, do you have to have a specific qualification to become a president? I mean, are you supposed to be an expert in all the subject areas of which you would be superintending? In the same way, a minister is a minister. He could be deployed today to Ministry A, tomorrow he could be deployed to Ministry B and whatever. And I'm happy that he's a competent person, and I know that he would discharge himself creditably in his new portfolio. All right.
Now let's begin to come down to the maybe we should okay, you've talked extensively about the MTN issue. There's no need belaboring that matter.
There's no other truth to be said about the matter.
Okay, let's begin to assess Governor Makinde's performance so far. You seem to be happy with the things he has been doing.
Honestly, like I said, I wanted to be governor because I felt I have the capability of righting a lot of wrongs in governance. One of the wrongs is about corruption.
Okay.
There has been too much corruption in governance in Oyo State as well as in many other states. He has come clean to, number one, to start with. He declared his assets and made it public. In previous times, we never had governors coming out to say this is what I owe. So that's the first step. Number two that he did was, look, Chief Haro was the advocate and the precursor of free education. Subsequently, all those who were coming and claiming to be progressive governors never did anything progressive in regard to free education. This man came and said, number one, no more 1,000, payments for people in the public schools.
Yes.
So he abolished the 3,000 per annum, which
yes,
kept many children out of school. Number two, He also now distributed free textbooks and free exercise books. The last time we did that was during Bolaga's time, when I was a member of the House of Assembly. I mean, again, this is a very progressive thing that he has done. Number 3, he has tried to review so many contracts which were fraudulently, given out. You talk of, the ring road, a ring road from Circular Road.
Circular Road.
Originally, the contract was with 14 billion. It was increased to 65 billion. And we're told that more about 40% of it, of the money we're taking up front. I mean, that is still being investigated. Again, the saying, the money I say road, which had been given for rehabilitation for about 7 billion. The monies were paid out, no job was done, the monies were stolen and distributed and so on. He is now reconstructing it. I mean, that is the road that links Ibadan to my homestead.
Yes.
Again, the Shaki Road, they had been in Shaki Road for more than 4 years. The road had been left in a very horrible situation.
I first met you in Shaki, Honorable Minister, during the general election.
So you know what?
I know how horrible that road
is. Now he has taken that up again.
But one would have expected that you use your influence in government to fix that road.
You see, let me explain a few things. When the Buhari government came on board, for 2 years before we came on board, all federal roads throughout the country had been abandoned.
Yes.
In fact, the Oyo Bomosho Road had been abandoned for more than 8 years. So government took a decision, and that was a time that government came when the resources coming from fuel, at the international level, had gone down by more than 50%. So government took a decision that in each zone, two interstate roads must be handled to completion.
Yes.
So the first one is the Lagos-Ibadan Road, which had been abandoned for more than 2 years. And the second one is the Oyo-Ogbomoso-Ilori Road.
Yes.
So there were not enough resources for government. And because I met the Minister of Works and he gave me that policy direction, I said, what do we do? Do we abandon Lagos-Ibadan Road to face your Shaki Road, which is not an interstate road, and so on, Okay. So we had some kind of dialogue. So these are the problems that we had. But, I mean, that road from Moniya to Isen is not a federal road. It is a state road.
It's a state road.
It's a state road.
Yes.
So it is the state government which ought to work on it. The state government of Ajuma reportedly started working on it, but it was only a smoke screen. They just use it to siphon public funds. The Shaki Road again was a smoke screen. The intention was to use it to siphon public funds, which they did at that time. So
that's actually your opinion.
Of course, I stand to be challenged. I stand to be challenged.
Now let's still talk. Let's still remain with the Makinde's activities so far. You have called him a progressive governor in the umbrella party.
Yes.
Now, your party, the APC in Oyo State, doesn't seem to be happy with the way he's going about things.
What is their complaint? Let's know what the complaints are.
Of course, they feel that he's spending unnecessarily, he's revoking contract, everything is political.
They should be ashamed. That's the thing.
Are you still a party?
I am. I'm a very progressive within APC. People should be ashamed. I have been a progressive all my life. I learned politics directly at the feet of Chief Obafemi Awolowo. Who among these are so-called leaders are living the life of Awolowo? Who among them has the thinking of Awolowo? Who among them is really a progressive in thinking and in action? They should be ashamed that we had a governor in Oyo State for 8 years. Saw Oyo State as a marketplace, saw Oyo State as a business to acquire illegal wealth at the expense of the people. So I mean, I am not party blind. If I see a progressive in any party, I would commend him. And it is my prayer. It is my prayer that if the APC is able to survive, the Shomode era, that Governor Seyi Makinde should come over
I was
APC.
I was going to ask you that
So
question.
that
If you are
all-
willing to join him in the PDP, or you want to drag him, you would like to drag him to the APC.
Unfortunately, PDP has had a problem with its image over the years. So I believe it is possible for him to come over to APC. All of us progressive-minded, people all over the place should take over the APC and use it.
But in all sincerity, if the governor approaches you today and says, okay, we have seen you as a son of the soil, who is, I don't want to use the word progressive minded now.
No, but I mean, that's
whatever it is, you are a son of the soil who we feel we can use to achieve a lot of things for our state. Cross over to my phone.
I don't have to cross over.
Have to do that.
Let me say this. I don't have to cross over to do.
Hello, good morning. Sorry, we have a call
for the party.
Oh, we lost.
I mean, for the state. I have been a minister, full minister. So anything less than that, you don't expect.
All right, it's still Voice of Liberation on Pensioners 106.7 FM. Agbarigo Onireke Ibadan. My name is Pius Nsabe. Hello, good morning.
Please, Mr. Nsabe, it may be difficult for you to bring Dr. Pius back to that radio station. A lot of Nigerians would like to hear from.
Of course. Our lines are just acting up, but just keep on trying. Hello, good morning.
The question I want to ask has to do, let me say, APC has, as one of its cardinal program, rule of law. Thank God the man in your front there is a lawyer, a senior lawyer for that man. When the president took over, he even promised to pay the.
Oh my God, these lines are acting up. Okay, you may have to call us back. Hello.
Hello.
Good morning.
This is
Okay, go on.
You are welcome.
Yes, I said before, I want to commend our former honorable minister.
Okay.
Because when this time, even people on our governors, today, really appreciate Mr. Chief. Hello?
We are very much with you. Go on.
What is the value what we need to do that will help us in this way? Because if we look at it, look at what the community we got today. Because the agenda of Mr. Pius and this our government is much bigger. I compare both of them, their agenda. I can see that these are the last people that we
Okay, you may have to call us back to make your contribution. It's still Voice of Liberation on Pensioners 106.7 FM. My name is Pius Nsabe, and I have in the studio with me this morning the immediate past Minister of Communications, Dr. Adebayo Shitu. Hello, good morning.
Yes, it's the same John Njoko.
Okay.
So what I was saying that when the president took over, he promised to obey the rule of law. But it is exactly a year ago, December 2018, that the president told the world at the meeting of the Nigerian Bar Association that the same rule of law must be subject to the supremacy of the national security. However, at the 74 UNGA meeting, United Nations General Assembly meeting, Buhari in his speech concluded by saying, we have made significant strides to put our house in order. We will work tirelessly to follow due process. The rule of law remains the permanent, unchanging foundation of the world. With the detention of Chiwure, that you can feel that having been granted by court of competent jurisdiction, does these two statements not contradict?
Thank you very much, Mr. Njoku, for bringing out that point.
I want you to answer that.
Thank you so very much for your very patriotic comments. Let me say that I cannot speak for the federal government because today I'm not an employee.
No, you speak for yourself.
I will speak for myself.
Yes.
I want to assure you that Mr. President means very well. And I want to say also that in every law, there's also the element of national.
Hello, good morning. Okay, we lost it. Go on.
The issue of national security has always been taken into consideration, by the courts. I know that there are isolated cases where, things don't go the way they should. For instance, this Ore case, I think that what the security SSS has been doing by further holding on to Sowore would give Sowore undeserved sympathy by the public. And I think that there cannot be any justification for keeping Sowore against the bail whose conditions have been made. So my very honest and patriotic view is that keeping Sowore beyond the fulfillment of conditionalities of the bail would be an injustice on the image of the Buhari presidency.
Okay. What about the likes of Dasuki and
well, I don't have all the security facts about them. I don't have. Okay. So it will be difficult for me to make comments on issues that I'm not aware of.
Okay, we are going to take a very short musical break, and when we come back, we continue with Dr. Adebayo Shitu on the program. Please do stay tuned.
Now tears on the bed.
And anytime I try, it be sorrow and bitterness and tears. It is grievance today. Every time I try, it make my sin of it and I get oh, I saw you coming down. Everything in life has got this time I see it. And sometimes I wonder if my season will ever come to it. Discussion of people is in this poverty, them say no. Discussion of this soul is vanity. But I did not imagine. But I feel conqueror. So we got the matchup. What can I say? Oh, we got the matchup. We got the matchup. Jesus Christ. Everything in life has got its time and season. I time to destroy, I time to be right. I time for peace to act, I time for so much trouble. But I think of the matchup, but the life we are conquerors. But I think of the matchup, we got the matchup, we are conquerors. So, but I think of the we got the matchup, oh, but I think of the matchup, we got the matchup. My freedom. And anytime I try, it's me sorrow and bitterness and tears. It is famous today. And each time I try, it's me crashing up it and I get low. Hey, my head is coming down. Well, everything in life has got this time and season. I time to destroy, I time to be right. I time for peace to act, I time for so much trouble. But the magic, which of the magic, which of the soul, well, but the magic,
Purchase your track now. Welcome. Purchase your track now and receive an untapped version instantly.
Oh my God, it's now yours on the
Purchase your track now.
Welcome back. It's 11:32 a.m. on Pensioners 106.7 FM at Barigo, Onireke, Ibadan. And the program is Voice of Liberation. My name is Pius Nsabe, and I have with me in the studio this morning the immediate past Minister of Communication, Dr. Adebayo Shitu. And I have been taking him on certain issues that have to do with him and, of course, the role that he played in the national development. Now, Dr. Shitu, talking about the role that you played in national development, let's even assess your 3.5-year tenure as the Minister of Communications. What would you say were the achievements that you made within that period?
Thank you so much for this very important question. And when I came on board as Minister of Communications, I knew next to nothing about communications. I just came as a greenhorn. And the first thing I did was, look, if you don't know something, you must learn about it. So I convoked a retreat, where about 400 experts in various fields of ICT were invited to IIT in Ibadan here for a whole week to review where Nigeria was coming from in regard to ICT development, where we were and where we should be headed. And at the end of the 1 week, talk shop, we put together what became the ICT roadmap for Nigeria, 2016 to 2020.
Okay.
This roadmap got approved by the Federal Executive Council, and for the first time today, we have a roadmap guiding, the trajectory of ICT development. You know very well that today, in the past, you've had industrial revolution, first industrial revolution, second industrial revolution. The third industrial revolution really is here with us, and it is about ICT revolution.
Yes.
That is turning Nigeria into a knowledge economy, where you have e-government, e-agric, e-medicine, e-administration, everything, and I'm happy to say that in the area of health, for instance, I mean, if you go to Afewa University Teaching Hospital, you won't see any files, you won't see any case file, you won't see any documentation.
Minister, you pay us for commercials.
Well, I don't own Afewa. I'm just giving that as an example of what the government, what the ministry, wanted to do with regard to, development of economy in Nigeria. So today we have an ICT roadmap.
Okay.
Secondly, we also succeeded in developing what has become the e-government master plan. The aim of e-government master plan is to ensure that the federal civil service becomes e-governance, in the sense that instead of all the files you have, memos and all that on paper, you completely eliminate use of paper, use of files, use of document, and you have everything on it. Okay. We got the South Korean government through KOICA, Korea International Cooperation Agency, to come and build an academy, e-government academy for us in Abuja. They spent billions of naira in developing that. They also brought a lot of, human resource, to develop, and they are consequently training, a lot of government officials, both in Nigeria and in Korea in this. It is my hope that before long, the entire Nigerian governmental system will become completely, e-government.
Okay.
Again, in regard, that there had been complaints about quality of service of telecoms, in the sense that there had been a lot of failed calls, you have a lot of, break-in calls and all of that. Again, we try to improve in that by using NCC to establish, helplines, and within a year, in 2017 was declared as the year of the telecom consumer. Okay. And between the beginning of that year and the end of that year, we had a drop of more than 60% in complaints by consumers, which was certainly a very satisfactory thing, for Nigerian telecoms and consumers.
Okay. Again, before you go ahead, a lot of Nigerians still believe that these telecom companies still rip off the people. For example, recently we had a situation where, I don't want to mention them now, one of the giant telecommunication industries that we have in the country came up with what it called 4 naira per 20 seconds bill for USSD, that's unstructured supplementary service data. Of course, this generated a lot of reactions by Nigerians, and eventually the federal government stepped in too. So you have been a minister there. Are they really ripping Nigeria off? And what did you do?
The recent thing you mentioned.
Hello, good morning. Oh my God. Okay, go on.
What you mentioned as a recent incident happened after I had left office. Yes. I don't have all the facts on that.
Yes.
But you see, Nigerians, I always try to speak.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Pius.
Good morning.
Dr. Adebayo, see your friend John is my name.
How are you, John?
I want to help Mr. Pius. There are some gray areas. I need to ask you questions.
Okay.
But if let me go. I think I have that right in this program.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead. Dr. Pius,
yeah.
Our president, your president, the president of Federal Republic of Nigeria,
yes,
told Nigerian that he will not elongate his tenure. Indeed, he will not stay longer than necessary. You are so close to President Buhari that I know for too long.
Yes.
Do you believe him?
Of course, I believe him 100%. Let me say one thing. Nigerians are, fond of escapist creations. When you have one frustration, the tendency is to create something and put a toga on Mr. President's neck. The president that I know is not the president who was looking, for a third term and who eventually, said he never looked for it.
Okay.
Anybody in his wildest imagination, and I'm saying this with all authority at my disposal, knows that third term is an impossibility in Nigeria. It is a complete impossibility. And Mr. President knows that. Besides, Mr. President is not a greedy person. The president that I know, the only president who came into office and, lowered his income by 50%. By 50%, he said the income he was earning, he will reduce it by 50%. That is one. Other presidents who had served in the military, when they were taking money, income as president, they were also taking their retirement benefit. This president has stopped that. So what is the greed that will make him look for a third term, which is an absolute impossibility?
Power, of course. Everybody wants to remain in power.
Are we all the same? Are we all criminals in Nigeria?
Anyway, in reaction to Mr. John Njoko, actually, you are preempting me. The program is structured in a particular pattern, and it was only a matter of time we will get there. But all the same, you have the right to call in and make your contribution.
You are welcome, Mr. Next time, I'm invited. I will invite you to come along to support me.
Definitely. He's one of our most regular callers on the program, and we sincerely appreciate him a lot. So, you were reeling out some of the achievements that you have made. I think our time is gradually going, and we have to be as nimble as possible on the program. So now,
well, you see, again, we have something called local content.
Okay.
Now we had a situation where government gives out a contract in the ICT sector, and almost 100% of it is imported. The government, during my time, insisted that not more than 60% of contracts in the ICT can be imported from outside.
Okay.
At least 40% of it must be local content. And, this is one area that I am, satisfied that we did well. Again, we started a NIPO's reform program, which would lead to the establishment of 6 new companies in NIPOS.
Okay.
We will have a NIPOS banking and insurance company. We will have a NIPOS transport and logistics company. We will have a NIPOS e-commerce services company. We will have a NIPOS property and development company and a NIPOS finance company. Okay. These had reached an advanced stage, but for bureaucracy, they would have taken off. If I had remained, in that ministry, by now we would have gotten. It is my prayer that the new minister will take it up from where I left it, and ensure that these new companies are made to face the light of the day.
Are you in touch with him? I said Patani.
Patani worked under me.
Okay.
He was.
He was a director.
He was director of NITDA. He worked under me. We have been relating.
Okay. Are you in touch with him to?
No, I have given
let him know that some of these things you reeled out.
I have given him a handing over note, to which he should, be resorting to.
Okay.
I don't want to put myself in a situation where I'll be considered overbearing, and I trust that as an equally patriotic person, he will look into these reforms that we had started and will do something about it.
Okay.
Yes. I would also say that one of the very good things is in NICOMSAT. NICOMSAT is the Nigerian Satellite Communications company, which is 100% owned by in Nigeria. Okay. As at the time I came on board, NICOMSAT had only one satellite in orbit, and that one satellite in orbit is not good enough. It's like you are patronizing a transport company which has only one vehicle and does not have a spare tire. Okay. Nobody will patronize it.
Okay.
So we're making efforts to acquire 2 more satellites in orbit.
From Nigeria.
But Nigerian government did not want us to get into further load. So we had started reaching out to private investors. We had reached an advanced stage, and I also hope that the current minister would pursue it to a logical conclusion so that the private sector could bring in the 2 new satellites in orbit so that it could be run properly as a business.
Okay.
And lastly, which I want to mention last but not the least, is that I had arranged with the Indian government for a loan for $100 million.
Hello,
for
good morning.
rural.
Hello, good morning.
Is the same Mr. John Njako. Doctor, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, I want to talk. You have said it's not possible for Kenyan education. But do you remember one of the northern states there?
Yeah.
And he said he was going to the Senate to sanction the Kenyan delegation of President Buhari. But let's put that one aside. Because that the President Olusegun Obasanjo's position for Kenyan delegation was not made official, but his body language indicated he was keen on delegating the Senate until the National Assembly, under the Senator Ken Inaman, if you recall, thought otherwise and play with the obnoxious bill with under 102 bills to the administration of Nigeria. Thank you, Doctor.
Well, all right. Because of our time now, I think that even President Buhari himself has come out to say plainly that he is not going for a 3rd term. I think we should just let that matter be, Honorable Minister.
Well, let me say this straight away. If the National Assembly successfully truncated Obasanjo's, aspiration for a 3rd term, do we no more have a National Assembly?
But we are scared of this present National Assembly. Recently, the Senate President came out to say that anything President Buhari says is for the interest of Nigeria. So even a 3rd term agenda could also be for the interest of Nigerians.
There's a difference. Of course, President Muhammad Buhari I have absolute confidence in him about his patriotism. But suppose, for purpose of argument, suppose he deserves it. To amend the Constitution of Nigeria, you need to source of the National Assembly and to source of state houses of assembly
and
to
of course,
amend the Constitution.
Don't we have it with the way it is today, with the way the political landscape is structured in the country?
You see,
both at the National Assembly and even the state. Look at the number of states that we have APC as APC houses of assembly.
Nigerians voted for those in office now. If we have a situation where 2/3 of Nigerians decide on the matter, so be it.
Okay, Honorable Minister, we have to move on a bit more speedily now. You just reeled out some of the achievements you made. Now, you are out of government now. You are what part of the masses now.
I'm not the part of the masses.
You sit here and you look. Would you say that some of the policies you made as a Minister of Communication are affecting Nigerians now? Have you seen signs of the benefits of some of the policies you made in the country today?
You see,
or is it the other way around?
Governance is a continuum. Governance is a continuum. I remember it is the same Buhari administration. So I have not seen anything which gives direction to the opposite of what we have done.
Okay. All right. Now let's come back to your states. The Court of Appeal judgment has left a lot hanging. We don't know which way we are at the moment until the Supreme Court says so.
Why don't you let us wait to do for the Supreme Court?
But how did you receive that judgment?
I was not surprised. It may be because I'm a lawyer. I understand quite well the language of the judges. The judges said there was something that the lower court ought to have looked into. They didn't look at. But it is too late to even ask them to go and retract the matter.
Okay.
So what miracle in that time limitation? Can the Supreme Court create that time limitation? Can the Supreme Court go against the law which creates time to hear cases at the tribunal level? If anybody thinks that Bayo Adelabu has had some kind of victory, I call it Pyrrhic victory. very momentary victory without substance. You see, I mean, I am a realist, even though my party suffered in that election.
Are you talking out of animosity, out of the way you were treated, or you are just being a Nigerian?
Am I not being realistic? I mean, have you found lies in what I'm saying? Have you found illogicality in what I'm saying? I mean, I stand to be corrected.
Okay.
Look, in that election, the PDP, unfortunately, won 22 local governments out of 22 or so. Was it 22 or 25? And our party won maybe 10 or what. I mean, that was the reality. And some of us saw it coming. But we cried, nobody would listen to us. We cried, we made noise about it. Nobody within our party would listen.
Do you think you would have pulled a stronger weight than Adela?
Well, I don't want to engage in... I mean, let's leave that. I mean, were we ever on the same plane with Adelabu in politics? He came into politics less than a year to the election. What was his contribution to the growth of our party, the birth of our party and the growth of our party? Who had known him before then? So, I mean, we were never on the same level. So you don't start comparing father with a son. He's more of my son.
It's all right. It's Voice of Liberation on Pensioners 106.7 FM. My name is Pius Nsabe. I have the immediate past Minister of Communications, Dr. Adebayo Shitu, in the studio this morning. You can still call us and make your contribution on the program this morning. 0908 1111 067 0908 1111 067 0808 0101 067 0808 0101 067. We are also live on Facebook, just like our page, Pensioners FM 106.7. Pensioners FM 106.7. You can also go to our website, www.pensioners1067fm.com. Click on Listen to Us, and you will hear us live from wherever you are in the world, provided you have internet. www.pensioners1067fm.com. Click on Listen to Us, and you'll get to hear us live. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Hello, shift a bit from where you are. Okay. Okay.
I want to just Bayo Shitu. You have Governor Asila before.
Sure, I was Attorney General under him.
Go on, we're listening to you. Hello?
So, national achievement, when is the minister of communication? Thank you.
He said what?
I couldn't hear him. He may need to
I think
call
he was asking me to mention my achievements as the Minister of Communication. I've
which
read out
you
about
have,
seven.
which you have
Let
done.
me also add, let me just to satisfy him,
Because of our time.
that apart
we don't
from
have so
what
much
I've
time.
done as Minister of Communications, officially, I also constructed and donated 18 boreholes to various communities in Oyo State. 18 in Okiogun areas, in Ibadan areas, in Oyo Federal Constituency.
Okay.
18. I mean, I also donated 2 buses to the party secretariat at the state level. 18 party secretariat.
All right.
These are some of the achievements.
Okay, Honorable Minister.
Personal achievements.
Let's move on now. I said we're going to talk briefly about President Muhammadu Buhari. I hope time will permit us to even say a line or two about him. But let's look at, lastly, from Oyo State now, let's look at the 2020 budget recently presented by Governor Seyi Makinde. Excuse me. Of course, slightly over 208 billion naira budget, out of which infrastructure and education took the greatest chunk. Of course, you have practically lavish praises on Governor Makinde on some of the things that he has done so far. And you even talked about the money I share, which incidentally is your zone. Are you satisfied with that budget? Could it have been more, less, or?
Well, honestly, I don't have the details of it. I don't have details. I know that it was more than 800 billion.
No, 208 over 208 billion.
I don't have, but you see, if you know somebody who has taken certain first steps, when those steps are, you have confidence that there's a possibility to give him the benefit of the doubt that he would equally do well. He has been populist in many of his actions, which I have seen, and I want to believe that the people of this state should continue to pray for him, so that he could continue to do the best for the state. The state has been yearning for, a governor who would really and sincerely, work for the people. And this is a governor who continues to say that every cover of the people would be accountable. I mean, that's certainly soothing.
Are there areas you think that the governor needs to be advised? Are there areas you feel very briefly that you think he could do better?
For instance, in my aspiration to become governor of the state, I had given myself a target that within 2 years, if I become governor, I would eliminate graduate unemployment. I still have the formula to ensure that within 2 years, no graduate of Oyo State will remain unemployed for more than 6 months. So this is one area perhaps I would, if he's interested, I will, be willing to give him the formula. He has taken one of the first steps which he has taken, which also replicates what Chief Obafemi had been doing, is in regard to farm settlements. Recall that Oyo State has had more than 8 farm settlements, which had been abandoned over the last 20 years or so. I'm happy that he has also, beamed the satellite on it, and he's voting a lot of money to revitalize and re-establish farm settlements. Agri can become the mainstay of our economy if, a lot more effort is put in reorganizing and re-establishing farm settlements all across the state. Our people are agreeing, and we don't have any justification to have a graduate of agri from Oyo State remaining unemployed when we have very good land, ample of it, and we have very good weather in the state.
Okay, you are from the border town of Shaki, and we've had this border closure for some time. Very briefly, are you in support or against it?
There's no doubt that the closure of our borders has affected the economy of my people in Shaki and Okiogun very, very adversely. But that notwithstanding, border closure has been one of the best policies of the federal government in the last few decades, because allowing smuggling in an unmitigated manner kills the local economy, particularly in the area of agriculture and local production of goods and services. And so it is my hope that government will try to cushion the effect, particularly the state government can, try and re-energize or recreate the local economy of many border communities. Again, this is not a thing for us to discuss on phone, but I think that government can do something to assist our people to go back into the farms and to create local industries by providing loans and mentoring for local communities.
All right. As we wrap up, what kind of a person is President Muhammad Buhari? You worked with him for some time. As a person now, let's leave.
Honestly,
is Buhari a good man?
Honestly, he's one of the most. He's not a perfect human being. I've never met any perfect human being. But in terms of Nigerian standards, he's very much above average in the area of humility, in the area of patriotism, in the area of incorruptibility, in the area of having passion for the common man, and in the area of godliness.
But why does he allow people who are seen to be bad people around him?
Well, he will not deliberately allow that. But again, because as a human being, he has his limitations. A lot of things may not be known to him. And you cannot blame him for any offense, quote unquote, which is not deliberate.
Or is it that the president is not a politician? Because we see a lot of things that happen that
I have said that the man is not a perfect human being. He's just a human being. Okay. Molded in the way God wanted him to.
All right, Honorable Minister, just before we leave, what is your next line of action politically?
My next line of action is continue to pray for our leaders. Thank God we have very good leaders now, both at the federal level and the state level. I want to beseech Nigerians to really be praying for their success. If our leaders succeed, the people will be happy. If their leaders engage in formulating very good policies and implementing them, there will be relief for the citizenry.
So you want to keep it to your chest.
I believe that so I rather would play along, watch events unfold, and maybe before 2023 I might even want to be president of Nigeria.
It's all right. This is much we can take on Voice of Liberation this day, November the 30th, 2019. I have been talking with the immediate past Minister of Communications, Dr. Abdurrahim Adebayo Shitu. My name is Pius Nsabe, and of course, I worked with Stephen Nwosu this afternoon, supported by Agnes Obatoi, and of course, Emmanuel Akinde. A very big thank you to the producer of this program, Babatunde Tiamio, and of course, our esteemed listeners, some of whom called and even attempted to call on the program today. Let's do this again sometime next week. Continue to be a good citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I am Pius Nsabe. Do have yourself a lovely weekend.